matters most. Anders Lundin and Finn Walker, 7th grade students at OMMS, explain how independence can be the first step to a better and more free world. When colonists take freedom and land away from the people of Kenya, they are able to use independence, freedom, and equality to fight back.
Every day, each and every one of you has freedom. Freedom to do what you want, freedom to say what you want, and even freedom to be who you want. I want you to take a second and imagine you didn't. Every day, you are controlled like a puppet on strings, each action dictated by a person who took everything and everyone you had. This freedom is so crucial for every person, for every family, and even for every community.
If no one ever stands up for themselves, the world can never get better. And according to Dar Williams, reporting on the New York Times article, The Age of Anxiety and the Decline of Play, she states that children who are guided at every turn can have trouble learning skills that are essential for life, from problem solving to even being resilient. This means that independence is the first step to becoming more deliberate, and it is a necessity for society.
Colonization is when a country converts a foreign land to their own. Africa was colonized for its rich resources, newfound land, and even newfound people by the Europeans. Many of the actions taken by these Europeans were cruel and can still scar Africa to this day, but on the short term, it affected the economy in Kenya massively. According to an article titled Economic Aspects of British Colonialism in Kenya, 1895 to 1930, Kenya always imported at least 1/3 of all goods going into Britain.
This had a costly effect on Kenya as a whole, because they had to shift and even accommodate their economy towards the British. Now you might be asking yourself, where exactly is Kenya? Kenya is located in the Middle East of Africa, outlined here in the green.
Kenya was colonized by the British and their despicable acts, stunting Kenyan independence. During social studies class, we learned that this was because of a meeting called the Berlin Conference. This was a gathering in which Europeans came and cut up Africa like a cake, pretending no one even lived there, and pretending they had jurisdiction to do so. This was very cruel and scarred a lot of the people who lived in Kenya. An article by Mehdi Alavi supports this by stating, British colonialism in Kenya ripped apart a social fabric between communities who now live in Kenya.
This made it so that Kenya could not make a strong or even impactful government again.
A man named Kibori Cheribot Nsura once said,
Before the white man came, we were all saying well with no problems with other people. Where my mother came from, we were all friends. This statement highlights just how peaceful Kenya was before colonization and how the violence was forced upon them by the British. You might be, now also according to Pennsylvania State University, before colonization, Kenya was just divided into 3 major groups of hunting, fishing, and trading. This means that the violence was forced upon them by the British.
freedom is like oxygen. When you have it, it's simple to take for granted and not even realize the importance of it.
And the British took away the Kenyans' land and freedom.
The Sankofa Pan-African series supports this by explaining that through colonialism, the British stole land and even freedom away from the native people of Kenya. And Dean Kimathi fought back because he understood what freedom really was. With people like this, we can build a world where everyone is free, not just those who are willing to steal from others.
So we've been talking a bit about Dean Kimathi. So you might be asking yourself, who was he? Dean Kimathi was a freedom fighter in Kenya who believed in freedom for all.
The British colonizers took away freedom and entrapped people from Kenya, and Dean Kimathi fought back.
He fought in an organization called the Mau Mau, one that went against the British colonizers.
Dean Kimathi was taken to Britain and hung for his crimes, but instead of backing down, before he died, he said, "My blood will water the tree of independence." Dean Kimathi was willing to sacrifice himself to allow others to build a world where almost everyone lives a life of choice. And those others were able to build this world where almost everyone is free and almost everyone shares equality.
Some people might argue that the British colonizers helped the Kenyans to build a new government, but this is flat out wrong. Because according to the Sankofa Pan-African series, it states that the British treated the Kenyans like trash and pain and anger is no way to make a successful government.
Sadly, if it weren't for people like Dean Kamothi standing up for what they believe in and for their people, many may be tormented to this day. Even worse, Dean Kamothi had to sacrifice himself to allow others to build a world where almost everyone is free.
World War II affected the colonies in Africa massively. The Europeans spent a lot of money fighting in the war, and along with the costs of keeping the colonies running and new ideas of freedom in Africa, they decided to abandon the colonies because the costs outweighed the benefits.
A book titled Seen Like a Citizen supports this by explaining that soon after 1960, Kenya negotiated their independence. Through that independence came freedom, and through that freedom gained equality. So through independence and freedom, we can build a life where almost everyone's lives are better.
Colonization still impacts Kenya to this day because according to the U.S. Department of State, it is estimated that around 85.5% of Kenyans are Christian and 11% are Muslim.
The British found ways to even manipulate religions in Kenya. Also in social studies, we learned that through colonization, Africa was shaped to export goods instead of also importing and trading. This has had a terrible effect on Africa as a whole, forcing them to have trouble making profits in goods. Colonization did not just affect Africa and Kenya right then, not just 5 years to come, but from then on.
Even now, in modern times, Dean Kamothi's memory is still remembered by many people. According to an article by The Elephant, it states that people who remember Dean Kamothi feel empowered to be free and independent, and those others can carve their own path to make the world a better place.
Dean Kamothi and others who fought for Kenyans' freedom really did have an impact. 44% of people were enslaved during early colonization.
And now, less than 1% are. So thanks to the efforts of Dean Kamothi and his fellow freedom fighters, they're able to drop 43% of all enslaved Kenyans from early colonization to recent times.
Be yourself and fight for what you believe in every day, and the world gets better. So the question remains, how will you use your freedom to make sure no one abides to unjust, unethical, not right laws? I want you to go back and imagine you didn't have freedom again. Big Sure did?
What would you do? Would you live up to those who are great and sacrifice yourself? Or would you just hide and cower from the truth? How will you carve your path?